Hello, this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. So let's get started. Bring supplies here. I'm going to be using some of the Tidings of Christmas 6x6 Designer Series paper. I'll show you the patterns real fast. I like this paper a lot. It's really pretty. There's one side. There's the other side. And I'm using this one. And yeah, this one, a lot of them would work for this, but that's what I chose. Okay. So I have a 1-inch strip. It's going to need to be cut down, but there's that piece. I have a 1/4 inch by 5 1/4 inch piece of cherry cobbler. I have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white, and I've run it through an embossing folder. Bring that in. The wintry 3D embossing folder. There's this one with the pine trees, and then the snowflake one. I use the pine tree one, and I do want to show you a pointer. It looks a little bit directional to me. I mean, it probably isn't, but for how I liked it, I put it in so that the paper was with the Stampin' Up side up and the extra paper hanging out on the left side. Okay, so I got that piece. I have a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of white, and my card base, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I'm using the Christmas trimmings dies. There's no stamps in this one, it's all dies. And I've cut this star here from a piece of In Good Taste Designer Series paper. I used a 3-inch square, it just barely fit, so if you're doing classes I would do it like 3 1/4 inches. This piece here I cut out a cherry cobbler. This star here I took a 3-inch square of crumb cake. I stuck that sticky paper on the back of it and die cut that out. And just a tip, if you're doing real intricate like this, if you put it cut side up and your paper on top of it, it cuts out in one pass. I cut out these holly leaves. There's 2 sets of those dies. I only need 3 of them, but it cuts 2 at a time, and I cut that out of old olive. Almost off screen. And this little die here, I cut out of gold foil paper. Okay, so those were all my pieces, and we can get started and make this card. Get things out of the way. The only other thing I'm going to be adding in is Gilded Gems, baker's twine, or the natural linen thread, multi-purpose glue, and glue dots, and a couple dimensionals. Start by putting our star together. It's going to be the trickiest part, getting this paper off the back. Come on. Start. Here we go. Okay. Peel that backing off, and I'll line it up on here. I'm going to stick it down. Okay, I'm going to bring in those holly leaves. Oh, maybe I didn't use old olive. I don't remember what I used, but this will work. And some glue dots. Stick those on the glue dots. time. I'm going to I want the star to go this way, so I want one here. I'm going to curl this up just a little bit. And there's a longer end and a shorter end. I prefer to put the longer end towards the center. And one tip, when you're picking these off of here, pick up the glue from underneath, otherwise it tears your paper. And this last one. And this one I'm going to put over a little bit farther this way. Okay, now I'm going to bring in that red berries. I'm going to roll up a glue dot to a ball, stick it right here, stick this on top of it. Okay, now I'm going to bring in this piece, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to roll up my glue dot. I'm just using my fingernail and I'm rolling it into a tube. That'll go on the back of this. You could use wet glue. And that's going to go here. Okay, now I'm going to bring in that linen thread. I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to tie a bow. I have both ends. Tighten it up a little. Bring in my snips. Snip this loop. Snip this end. Okay, now I'm going to take one more glue dot. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to roll it in a ball. Put that on the back of my ribbon. Sure it's all pinched in so it doesn't show on the front. And I'm going to set that down on top of that other existing glue dot. Fluff it up a little bit. Okay, let's put some dimensionals on the back of our star. I'm going to go heavy on the dimensionals because I didn't on the other one. And this is just designer series paper, so it's not as stiff as cardstock, so it bowed in the center, and I didn't like that. Take those backs off and set it aside. Because now I got to build my card base. Probably shouldn't have taken those backs off yet, but it's alright, we'll set it over there. Okay, so now we're going to bring in this piece that we embossed, the trees, and these two layers. I'm going to bring in my wet glue on the back of the piece. Now you could use any paper you want. I just chose this one. It's got like a herringbone brick pattern in it. On the right side, I'm going to put a little strip of wet glue. And I'm going to attach this cherry cobbler piece. Okay. Take my scissors. I'm going to wait to trim it. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the back of the whole thing. And I want the edge of this paper, the white paper, to show just a little tiny bit. So put it up to that edge. I'm going to wish I left this a little bit longer. I'm going to go trim that on my trimmer. Actually, let's bring in the guillotine. I'll just do it on that. A little bit tinier, a little bit. There we go. Just trimmed a tiny bit off there. It was a little bit too short, bugged me. Okay, now I'm going to bring in this piece here. We're going to adhere this one right directly to that piece. I just felt it needed the mat to finish it. Just didn't look right just mounting it directly to the card. Okay. This is just a little bit. Trim this just a little because I trimmed the other one and it feels a little too long. There we go. Alright. A little glue sticking out here. Let's see if I can get it off. Let it dry. Glue. Eraser. These I think are a must-have. Inevitably I get glue on something somewhere I don't want it. Okay, now I'm going to bring in that star. And I want the plane of the star to break the edge here. So I'm going to go ahead and set that down so that those 2 points break that line. Now I'm going to bring in my Gilded Gems. Well, actually, let's glue this to the front of the card first. It's just the tiniest border. Okay. Now we're going to take Gilded Gems. And use one big one. Oops, if I can get it off of here. Right here. And 2 mediums. One above it. And one of them up here. And there we go. Now you could add a sentiment strip on there if you wanted, but I just thought it was a nice neutral anything card for it's pretty. Well, thanks for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.